What's going on? It has been a while since I've done a full-length video. I'm in the throes of motherhood, but that is why I have not done them regularly. All right, so I felt like the Lord wanted me to cover the Jewish feasts and their prophetic significance. If anyone else is like me, you've heard of these feasts, you know kind of what some of them are, and you don't know anything. With the war in Iran, there's so much content dropping right now regarding where we are in God's timeline. And I don't think we should be ignorant of these feasts, because if the Jews celebrated them, if Jesus is seen in all of them, we need to know about them. And they have prophetic significance. So there's a lot of them that have already come to pass. Whatever they foreshadowed had already happened. And then there's actually some that have not happened yet that are very interesting when you delve into them. So here's where this video comes in. So there's always going to be a culture gap between us and the ancient Jews. And because of that, I want to go over, first of all, like the basics of understanding the feast, but more specifically, like I'm going to go feast by feast, but I want to cover the basics of like the Jewish calendar and how it works with our time so that we can close at least that gap for you. So the first thing to understand is that in the natural, these 7 feasts were aligned with the Jews' seed time and harvest cycles. So 3 feasts take place in the spring, 1 in the summer, 3 take place in the fall. Second to understand is the Jewish calendar differs obviously from our calendar. So if you've had them say like what the Jewish year is, we're going to talk about that. So the Jewish calendar is based on the moon and sun, and its days begin at sundown. The Gregorian calendar, our calendar, is based on just the sun, and its days begin at midnight. The Jewish feast times vary for us each year on our calendar. So Passover may fall anywhere between like March to April, for example. And I thought it was interesting that they also begin counting their years from when they consider creation took place. So the Jewish year is 5786. And of course, we start ours from when Christ's death, so like 2026 AD, after death, right? So they also have leap years that help to align their months with the solar seasons, which makes sure that the feast days that are dedicated to occur in spring do actually occur in spring. And without the leap years, it all would shift. Now, next Jewish year, September of this year for us, begins their next leap year actually, and when it happens, they add a month. So their regular month named Adar becomes what's called Adar 2, and another month, Adar 1, is added to make 13 months. So I hope that sheds a little light on the differences in time between us and the biblical time set in the Bible, because in the Bible, you'll say it takes place the 10th day of the first month. And so we think January 10th, but it would be September 10th or whenever their time is. Okay, so let's move on to the first Jewish feast. So this feast is Passover, and of course it occurs in the spring. Passover celebrates the liberation of the Jews from Egypt. In the Exodus account in chapter 12 is when he talks about what they should do on Passover. As Christians, what's awesome is, like I said, every feast has a prophetic foreshadowing that we should know about. We view Passover, of course, as a foreshadowing of Christ's work on the cross. In Egypt, when the plague of death came to kill all the firstborns, all the Jews were instructed to spread blood from a male lamb without blemish, foreshadowing Christ, of course, on their doorposts. They were told to take the lamb the first month and 10th day, which Christ was at the temple, the first month and 10th day before his crucifixion. And it would be taken from among the sheep and goats. We know Christ was taken from among the righteous and sinners. The lamb was killed in the evening. Christ was killed between 3 and 6 p.m. The blood was placed on the 3 places on the door. There are 3 crosses at Golgotha. And I didn't know this next part, but during the Passover, they didn't place the blood on the floor at the entrance of their home. Like, I knew that, but I didn't know why. So they said that they didn't want the blood of the lamb to be trampled underfoot. And then there was actually a nod to this in the New Testament in Hebrews 10:29 that I never saw. So when the writer's talking about Christ's sacrifice for us, he's saying, of how much worse punishment do you suppose will he be thought worthy who has trampled the Son of God underfoot, counted the blood of the covenant by which he was sanctified a common thing, and insulted the Spirit of grace. So the blood spread on the doorposts protected them. When Jesus died around Passover, we know Christ's blood had the ultimate atonement for our sins and caused the penalty of spiritual death to pass over us. So I just think that's really neat, because I didn't really realize the thing about trampling the blood and then it being referenced in the New Testament like that. I thought that was really neat. When I'm saying that these all have a prophetic foreshadowing, it says it right in Colossians 2:17. So we'll go to verse 16. So it says, Paul's writing to the Colossians. He says, so let no one judge you in food or in drink or regarding a festival or a feast or a new moon or Sabbaths, which are a shadow of things to come, but the substance is of Christ. So that says right there, every feast that we are celebrating, it is a foreshadowing of Christ. So it's just so exciting. Okay, so if you go to Exodus 12, that is where they actually lay out like everything that they need to do for Passover, for like what's happening. Get there. Okay, so it starts like in verse 1 basically. So he talks about Passover, so it's being instituted right here. And then he talks about, then they shall eat the flesh on that night, roasted in fire, with unleavened bread, and with bitter herbs they shall eat it. Do not eat it raw nor boiled with water, but roasted in fire, its head with its legs and its entrails. They were expected to eat the whole lamb. And I did want to point out that I've heard Stephanie Gretzinger talk about this, so like no credit to me at all. But I love how she says, you know, we are instructed to eat the whole lamb, the whole Jesus. And you know, there's so many people right now, especially online or just the churches, that they don't want to hear everything that Jesus says. They want to cherry pick the kind of Jesus that they have. I've been guilty of that before. Like, honestly, I spent a while like avoiding the Gospels. Like, I've read them, of course, but I just, sometimes when I read them, I'd be like, you know, Lord, like, and Jesus, you don't sound that loving sometimes. And some of his stuff is like hard to hear. And so it kind of like deterred me from reading it for a while. And then I was like, you know, I need to eat the whole lamb. Like, I have to. So I was reading it, and it just, like, there's a different intimacy that comes when you're partaking of all of him and you allow all of him to like shine light on the things in you that need to be cleansed or cleaned. And speaking of that, so I wanted to share this insight I had too. So I was reading Psalm 51, and I saw some video of somebody that was talking about like writing out the scriptures and how that has helped them or whatever. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to write out Psalm 51 because it's like one of my very favorite Psalms. And when I got to the place where it said, verse 17, the sacrifices of God are a broken spirit, a broken and a contrite heart. These, O God, you will not despise. The Lord was like talking to me about how that relates to Romans 12:1. Romans 12:1 is like talking about presenting your bodies as a living sacrifice. And I was just thinking about it in light of this, because he says, you do not desire sacrifice, or else I would give it, in verse 51:16. You do not delight in burnt offering. The sacrifices of God are a broken spirit, a broken and a contrite heart. These, O God, you will not despise. And I just thought about that, you know, Romans 12:1. Sometimes we think that to sacrifice for God is like, I'm giving up music, secular music, I'm giving up swearing or like things like that, you know. But I think sometimes like what he really wants from us is our brokenness. The word contrite here is kind of the idea of humbling yourself, like to the point of like breaking over, being so broken with humility that you're the guilt of your sin, like, Lord, I cannot do it without you. And I've gotten to that place, and people would be like, there's no condemnation anymore for those who are in Christ Jesus, and I totally agree. However, there is a point in your Christian walk that you come to where you realize that we are absolutely nothing without him. I like joke and I say to my husband, I'm like, I'm such a worm and he saved me. But I don't hate myself, okay? I understand that Christ loves me and that he doesn't see me those ways. His blood covers a multitude of sin. But I think that one of the things that the Lord delights in me is that I humble myself to be like, Lord, I am absolutely nothing without you. I could do nothing apart from you. Like, I am nobody. And I want to always keep that attitude no matter what happens, because without Christ, like, he's everything. And we need the whole lamb. But without eating the whole lamb, like, basically it's pride of, I don't need this part of it. I don't need that. And that is a spirit of pride speaking that we need to be careful with. So thanks for listening. Sorry I rambled a bit. I was not as well prepared, which I think I say in like every video, but to be honest with you, like, it's just kind of exhausting to script everything, and sometimes I just want to riff and just go. I hope you guys are all doing well, and catch me in the next one. I'm gonna talk more about the feasts and until we get through all of them, and then we'll get into the end times eschatology stuff, which is very exciting. All right, catch you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.